yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach, and welcome back to my crochet channel. Now today is Friday Fun Day, and that means we're just going to make something fun, maybe a little silly, but just have some fun. Now last Friday, we made a pencil bookmark that can be used as, of course, a bookmark. It can also be used as a bag tag. You can leave the tail off, add a magnet, stick it on the refrigerator, use it as a tag for a gift for a teacher, or anything that you want to, even an applique. Well, I had a lot of questions about how can I take this pencil magnet or pencil applique or pencil bookmark and turn it into a crayon. And that's what we're going to do today. I made this orange one, isn't it cute? And this purple one. And I'm going to show you how you can do this as well. It's really easy. It's a similar pattern. So that's what we're going to do today. It's a really super easy pattern. And as always, you can find that link down in the notes underneath this video. So you can see that the crayon is approximately the same size as the pencil bookmark, and then we add that same style of tail. And what you're going to need to make the crayon is you're going to need a color in two shades. We have a lavender and a purple because the paper portion of a crayon is usually lighter than the crayon itself. And we did that here with the orange. We have a little bit lighter here, and then it's darker at the top and the bottom, and then the black. I did these all with medium weight number 4 yarns that I had on hand, like your Red Heart Super Saver, Red Heart Love, Impeccable. I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. Any of your medium weight number 4 yarns will work. You can even make this out of cotton if you prefer. And so any medium weight number 4 yarn will work for this project. For today's demonstration, I'm going to be using a light blue and a dark blue and some black, because you need black for the striping that's on the crayon. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You need a needle to weave in those ends, and of course, a pair of scissors. I'm starting with my darker shade of blue. I'm going to begin with a slip knot and chain 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we're going to turn and stitch a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Then we'll stitch a single crochet in each of those chains across. And chain 1. Now we started in the second chain from the hook, so we have 7 single crochets. Now we're going to turn our work. Our chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and so we'll stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 7 single crochet stitches. So we stitched 1 single crochet in each of those 7 single crochet stitches. We're not going to chain 1 because we're going to change colors. And I've gone ahead and cut my yarn. And so I'm going to bring in the lighter blue color and then chain 1. We're going to turn our work. And I'm going to stitch over these 2 tails of yarn for just a couple of stitches, and then I'll come back in and weave those in. And I'm going to stitch a single crochet in each of these stitches across, just like we did on row 2. I'm only using the lighter blue color. chain 1, turn, 1 single crochet in each of those 7 single crochet stitches. All right, so I'm not going to chain 1 because I'm going to be changing to the black yarn after this row. So what we have here is 2 rows of our darker blue and 2 rows of our lighter blue, all stitched in single crochet stitches. Now I stitched over these 2 tails of yarn, and now what I can do, and I'm going to wait until I'm finished with my project, but I can come back in, put these on my needle and weave those in, and then that doesn't leave a big bump on the side of our work. So I'm going to cut my blue yarn. I'm going to bring in my black. And a lot of times when I'm switching colors, I'll trail that yarn up the side, but I'm not putting a single crochet row on the outside of this, and so I'm not going to trail that yarn up on the side. We're going to weave it in. All right, so now we're going to turn our work, and again I'm going to stitch over those tails of yarn. Our chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and so we'll start right in that first stitch and stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 7 stitches. I'm going to chain 1, turn, and repeat 1 single crochet in each of those 7 stitches. And I know it's difficult to see with the black yarn, but it's just these 2 rows. Okay, and then I'm going to cut my yarn, and we'll bring back in our light blue. So we have 2 rows with 7 single crochets of the dark blue, 2 rows of the light, and then 2 rows of black, because we're starting at the bottom of our crayon and working up. So we brought in our new color, which we're back to our color 2, which is our light blue, and on this row we're going to chain 3. Turn our work. The chain 3 does count as our first stitch, and so we're going to double crochet in that next stitch. And then we'll double crochet in each of those stitches across. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets because the chain 3 counted as our first. And then we'll go ahead and chain 3 and turn our work. And so now we're stitching in rows of double crochet. Our chain 3 again counts as 1 double crochet, so we don't stitch in the first one. We go in the next and stitch 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets across. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this row, which is row 8, for 2 more rows. We'll stitch 2 more rows of double crochets. I stitched those 2 additional rows, so we have 4 rows of double crochet. We're going to cut our yarn, bring back in our black, and we'll stitch 2 rows of single crochet, just like we did down here. All right, so we'll bring that in. Chain 1, turn our work, and 1 single crochet in each of those 7 double crochets across. And remember, our chain 1 does not count as a stitch on our single crochet rows. chain one, turn, and one single crochet in each of those single crochets across. All right, so now we're going to cut our yarn and bring back in our light blue. Chain one and turn, one single crochet in each of the single crochets across, and again I'm stitching over those tails of yarn just for a couple of stitches, and then I'll come back in and weave these in like I did down here. 1, 2, 3, and 4, because we did 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 single crochets. And see how that's looking like a crayon? And now we're going to do our chain one and turn and one single crochet in each of those stitches across. All right, there's my 7th stitch. So I have 2 rows of single crochet here like we did down here. We're going to cut our yarn. We're going to bring back in our darker blue, and now we're going to do the point on the top of our crayon. So we'll bring our darker blue in, chain one, and turn. We are going to stitch over those tails of yarn again, and again we'll weave all these in, and I'll show you how to do that so it looks nice and neat in just a second. Now for this row, we're going to begin doing our decreases so that we can get that point of our crayon, and we're going to stitch the first 2 single crochets together, and we're also going to stitch over these 2 tails of yarn. So we're going to go in that first single crochet and pull up a loop. Then we'll go in the next single crochet and pull up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 of those loops. Let's move those out of the way, and we'll stitch 1 single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. That leaves us 2 stitches, and we're going to stitch these last 2 single crochets together for a single crochet decrease, and chain 1 and turn our work. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets. We're going to stitch the first 2 together. We'll stitch 1 in the next single crochet and then stitch the last 2 together. Chain 1 and turn, and now we're going to stitch these last 3 single crochets together. So we'll go in the first stitch, pull up a loop, go in the next stitch, pull up a loop, go in the last stitch and pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through all 4 of those loops and then chain 1. And that forms the point of our crayon. All right, so now we have a lot of weaving in to do. The first thing I want to show you is how to do that point for that weaving in. So we're going to grab our needle. And what I do is I go right in that point, make sure that we're going to get that point pointed. Got it? All right, and then I'll go through some of these stitches and make sure when you do this, you stay in the color you're working with. And I try to just go through the backs of the stitches, going one way, then the other, and back and forth. All right, so that's how we get the point. And then you'll have these other stitches or other pieces of yarn that you need to weave in. All right, this light blue one's nice and long, so let's go ahead and do that one. And so what you're going to do is we stitched over it on this side, so we're going to come up to the next stitch and go back the way we came, going through fibers of the yarn and stitches. Don't just go through the holes. See how I'm going through fibers? And that's going to hold that nice and secure. Especially if the kiddos are going to be playing with these. We don't want them to worry about the strings coming out. All right, and see how nice and neat that looks? This is the back, but look at the front. It looks nice and neat, and our edges don't have those big bumps you get sometimes when you join on the sides. All right, so I need to finish tidying up the back of my crayon. So I tidied up the back of my crayon so it looks nice on the back and the front. And it's perfect for an applique. If you want to add a hook to it and make it into a bag tag, add a magnet, it's perfect. But if you want to add that braid on the end or that chain so that it has a little bit of length for a bookmark, you're going to need to cut about a 24 18-inch piece of yarn and fold it in half. And we're going to go right in the center of that bottom. We're going to pull that loop through, and now we're just going to chain. And normally I've done 12 and then tied off. If you want it longer, you can. My thing is, if this is going to be around children, we don't want this chain to be long enough where they can get it caught around their neck or their wrist or something like that. All right? And then we just snug that down nice and tight and trim. The thing is, we want to stay safe around the kids because you know they're going to play with these things. All right? And so there is our cute blue crayon. So here we have 3 of the crayons that I made, and I want to make like a red one, and I also want to do like brown and yellow, and just make it look like, you know, when you get a pack of 8 crayons. Wouldn't that be super fun? And you could do these on a bunting as well, and even add the pencils in with it for a really fun classroom. I think it'd be great if you have a preschool teacher or a daycare teacher that you want to give something to just to encourage them. Write them a thank you card and slip one of these inside. These crayons are super fun. You can make them in lots of different colors and just have some fun making them and giving them away. Aren't these just super fun? You could make a whole box of crayons to have around your classroom for fun and games, and give them to teachers to say thank you. Just so many uses for these fun little crayon bookmarks, magnets, bag tags, whatever you want to use them for. They're great to make and super fun to give away. So that's our project for our Friday Fun Day this week. And have a great week, and I'll see you next week.